part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Look up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane.
This is Jason J. Lewis, the voice of Superman on Justice League Action. This is Mark Wade, writer of Superman Birthright. You're listening to the Krypton Report.
Welcome to another exciting episode of Flash Week. And I guess this could be called Reverse Flash Week, because we are going to talk a little bit about Reverse Flash and just evil speedsters in general. We do know, it's not really a spoiler, thanks to the toys, and there hasn't been in the marketing, but we've seen the action figures, both the Spin Master, the McFarlane, and the Pop figure. There is a character called Dark Flash. We have our theories who and what Dark Flash is, but we're just going to talk about right now, we're not going to speculate there, but just what kind of evil speedsters has our hero faced before. And if you're interested in evil speedsters, hopefully you've watched the 2014 to now ended Amazing Speedster series of The Flash, where we take on every evil speedster ever. And we're going to talk about things. So, without further ado, for every hero, there is their opposite. In case of the Flash, there is the Reverse Flash, or Professor Zoom, or Zoom. I'll explain. Before we kick off Friday to Friday Flash Week, let's reverse and talk about the Flash's deadliest foe. As of this recording, we know is the upcoming Flash movie features the villainous character called Dark Flash. While there have been many evil speedsters, we are not sure where this Dark Flash falls, or if it's an amalgam of characters, which is what we suspect. But the two biggest characters are always Eobard Thawne, the nemesis of Barry Allen, and Hunter Zolomon, the nemesis of Wally West. Now, first of all, I just want to say Zolomon is a crazy cool name. It's kind of like if my brother decided he wanted to name his son Solomon, like us. And since my brother's name is Zach, he stole it and was like, boom, Zolomon. And I would be like, great, it's awesome, you know. Or it also can be kind of lame, like somebody's like, huh, Solomon with a Z, man. Solomon, check it out. You know, kind of how people like take a name and just change the first letter to try to make it cool. Yeah, we'll just leave it right there. You can kind of figure out what you think. But here are the evil speedsters in no particular order of appearance from the TV show Flash. We have Godspeed, Trajectory, Fast Tracked, Slash, when she was kind of good, but then she became Nega Flash, bad. Red Death, which sucked. The Rival, which was quick. Savitar, poorly underused. Cobalt Blue, Inertia, Reverse Flash slash Daniel West, which was not in the TV series, but they kind of cheated and used his suit a little bit, how they got rid of Eobard Thawne. But the Daniel West thing is neat. I am very surprised that was something they didn't use after Crisis to kind of tweak some things and shake up some things and kind of bring in a new evil speedster. Black Flash slash Death, and Johnny Quick. So these are some of the other ones after, of course, Reverse Flash and Zoom. There may be more that I forgot, but the idea is there are a lot of evil speedsters, and we're just kind of mainly touching on the two. Eobard Thawne. Costume is the opposite slash the reverse of the original Barry Allen suit. Now, this works very well up until we get to the New 52, where once again artist designs change with the Flash, and soon it gets harder to tell the Flash apart, just like the costume villain. Thawne had a red straight lightning belt around his waist and wings on his boots. During the last part of the New 52 era, known as the DCU, that's YOU, Thawne returned and was given a unique costume that was true to the character, but helped give a definitive look, because as we talk about, one of the biggest things is the whole Thawne and Zoom, because Eobard Thawne was actually called the Reverse Flash and Professor Zoom, and he was Barry Allen's villain. And then when Crisis hit and we got Hunter Zolomon, who came in and became the evil rival speedster, it's hard to use terms like rival because it's not the rival. He was Wally West's Zoom. Just Zoom. And that made sense until, thank you, Jeff Johns, he brought back Barry Allen, brought back Eobard Thawne, and redefined their relationship, giving us the murder of Nora Allen. And now you had two characters running around in basically the exact same outfit, switch color palette as the hero, the Flash. Much like Flashes, which we had talked about, the definitive between Wally and Barry, Zoom and Eobard, Reverse Flash, had the same kind of thing. But then you have artists who kind of mix things up and it gets a little bit harder. But let's keep going here. Eobard has been around for almost as long as the Flash. The character was created by John Broome and Carmine Infantino and first appeared in the Flash number 139, September of 1963. Hailing from the 25th century, Thawne was a scientist who became obsessed and idolized Barry Allen and managed to replicate the accident that gave him his powers. However, he was driven insane upon learning he was destined to become the Flash's greatest enemy. Fueled by jealousy and hatred, he became and determined to ruin Barry, the Flash, his life as Reverse Flash. Thawne's powers came from the negative Speed Force, which he then uses to alter time to his own whims. And that's kind of the pre-crisis origin. As comics guru Jeff Johns would tweak it, but we'll get there. More is that Thawne worked at the Flash Museum, and there's a great panel in the conclusion of Josh Williamson's Rebirth run that highlights this, how he earned his nickname Professor Zoom. There it is, Professor Zoom, the Reverse Flash. I personally just like to use Reverse Flash. For Thawne, I like to drop the Professor Zoom. And right now, I look at his mission and more of the post-crisis story. The Flash TV series has really been able to kind of merge the two, and even more as the comics have gone forward, they've been able to kind of merge the two with why Thawne was already obsessed and with Barry, and then eventually is so obsessed that he wants to become Barry and look like Barry, and then decides to alter Barry's history. Eobard Thawne had found a time capsule in the 21st century containing a costume of the Flash, and with a tachyon device amplified the suit's speed energy, giving himself speed abilities. He would reverse the colors of the costume and take on the moniker Professor Zoom, the Reverse Flash, and went on a crime spree. However, the time capsule also contained an atomic clock, which, due to the effects of time travel, altered an atomic bomb. To prevent its detonation, the Flash pursued and defeated Zoom, hoping he knew where the clock was, but he did not. But the Flash later found the clock, detained it safely, and destroyed Thawne's costume. Blaming the Flash for his defeat, Thawne became obsessed with replacing Barry and traveled back in time to exact his revenge. When Iris West, Barry's wife, rejected his romantic pursuits, Thawne killed Iris. After the Flash found a love again, Thawne threatened to kill Fiona Webb, Barry's new fiancée. On their wedding day, fearful that history would repeat itself, Barry killed Thawne by breaking his neck. That's some Man of Steel stuff right there. Boom. So that is your pre-crisis. Now, post-crisis into zero-hour origin. Post-crisis, as we all know, is an extended origin storyline. The return of Barry Allen revealed that Thawne, prior to discovering the time capsule contains the Flash's costume, once a scientist obsessed with him and even undergoing cosmic surgery to resemble his hero. Obtaining a cosmic treadmill from an antique shop, Thawne gained all the Flash's powers after replicating the electromagnetic accident that created the Flash. Seeking to use the cosmic treadmill to travel back in time and meet his idol, Thawne arrived at the Flash Museum several years after Barry's death, discovering that he was destined to become Professor Zoom, the Reverse Flash, and die at his idol's hands. As a result, the unstable Thawne convinced himself that he was Barry, based on his intimate knowledge of Barry's life from his readings of the Flash's yet unpublished biography, and subsequently attacked Central City for forgetting him. Wally West ultimately tricked Thawne into returning to the 21st century with no memory of the incident. Despite this, Thawne still managed to bring the remains of his older self's costume with him, connecting his destiny. After the events of 0 Hour, Crisis in Time, it is revealed that Malcolm Thawne, dun dun dun, Eobard Thawne's ancestor, and, ready for this, Barry's long-lost twin brother, meaning that Barry is Thawne's great uncle. It's got to intertwine some family stuff. Now, Rebirth, as in the 2008 Flash Rebirth, not the 2016. Thawne was reimagined as a major villain in the DC Universe by writer Jeff Johns, because of course he is. In Flash Rebirth, his resurrection is foreshadowed to occur in a near-future event. It is later revealed that Thawne's recreation of the accident of Barry's power made Thawne able to lure Barry out of the Speed Force during Final Crisis and temporarily turn his nemesis into the Black Flash. Thawne reveals that he is responsible for every tragedy that has ever occurred in Barry's life, including the death of Nora Allen, Barry's mother. Thawne then decides to destroy everything the Flash holds dear by killing Iris before they even meet. Thawne sucks. He is mean. Thawne uses his powers to completely rewrite his own history. He erases his younger brother from existence and kills his parents when they try to interfere with his research, which is a crazy, interesting read of a book. Thawne later falls in love with a reporter who had been hired to interview him. Thus, his future self wipes all the reporter's romantic interests from existence. After finding out this would be love interest did not return his affection. Thawne's future self traumatized the reporter as a child, causing the woman to be mute and institutionalized so they never meet each other. He later had his younger self find the time capsule containing Barry's costume to make himself the Flash of the 21st century. He sheds a tear as his altered past self runs past him while saying, "It won't last long. You will never find love. You will never be the Flash. Barry Allen destroyed my future. It's time to destroy his." In the 2011 Flashpoint storyline, a new timeline is created through the alteration of history. The Reverse Flash reveals that his body is permanently connected to the Speed Force. He was unable to alter Barry's transformation into the Flash. However, that would definitely erase him from the existence. Instead, Thawne decides to ruin Barry's life during his childhood, killing his mother, Nora. Thawne later reveals that the Flashpoint timeline was thus created by Barry when Barry went back to stop Reverse Flash from killing Nora. After Thawne is killed by this reality's Batman, which is Thomas Wayne, with a sword stabbed through his chest, the Flash travels back in time to stop Barry's younger self from altering history. But instead, under Pandora with Dr. Manhattan's manipulation, a third timeline is created, calling itself the New 52. Some crazy stuff, right, everybody? Crazy stuff. In the New 52 reboot of DC's continuity, Thawne's origin is, once again, re-established, hailing from the central city of the 21st century. Devoted to the Flash as a child, Thawne witnessed his father murder his mother and subsequently get arrested. One day, he is struck by lightning and gains the ability to control the flow of time around him, making it appear as if he is moving at superhuman speeds, believing himself to be chosen by the Speed Force as the Flash's replacement. Thawne dons a costume similar to his heroes and begins to terrorize the Gem City as Zoom, demanding its citizens accept him as king. However, he is enraged when people rebel against him in the Flash's name. Jealous and bitter that the Flash is worshipped and loved by the people despite their similar powers, Thawne uses Rip Hunter's notes to travel back in time, where he starts recruiting 4 individuals touched by the lightning, or Speed Force, across history after saving them from situations he himself put them into under the false pretense that he requires their help to vanish the evil menace of the Flash. Thawne then makes the acquaintance with Henry Allen, Barry's father, funding Henry's research lab. But when Henry refuses to help him with an unknown case, Thawne subsequently murders Nora to make Barry endure and give them both an equal start, and forces Henry to take the blame for his deed. with the threat of Barry's life. Laying low for many years, this character known as Zoom reemerges following William Schleichert's defeat, recurring as an acolyte of his. Zoom and his acolytes then cause havoc in the city. After the failure of his plans enforced by the Flash, revealing his backstory to Barry, Thawne proceeds to best Barry in combat and is about to kill him until the Flash realizes how Thawne's powers work, and then proceeds to counter by moving time forward, finally defeating him after taking Henry out of killing Thawne. Barry has him arrested and imprisoned in Iron Heights. The serial killer speedster Godspeed later attempts to kill Thawne and every other inmate in Iron Heights as a twisted gesture of friendship to Barry, only to be stopped by the hero. Now, in the New 52, Thawne Eobard is not brought in until the latter part, which I said is the DCYOU. Until then, we had a Reverse Flash, which was the Daniel West version, and we won't dig too deep into that, but that's really how we end up getting Wallace/Ace into the equation, is through the Daniel West character. Now, in the DC Rebirth launch of 2016, Thawne's powers are retconned back to the negative Speed Force. Because guess who wrote this? I gave you one guess. I'll even let Jania guess, and I bet she can get it because she's sitting next to me. It was Jeff Johns. His origin is reversed to be closer to his pre-Flashpoint 1, with some differences and an alternative motive, and the Reverse Flash mantle is returned to him now as his primary moniker. In spite of these retcons, his New 52 history is shown to have somehow still occurred to some extent. Once again, it's pick and choose. An only child when his parents died in an accident, Eobard Thawne grew up obsessed with the Flash. After finding a time capsule with a Speedster's costume, he uses traces of the Speed Force in it to turn himself into a Flash. Due to a lack of threats in the 21st century, Thawne creates his own by endangering people before saving them. He is overjoyed when Barry Allen travels to the time and teaches him some new tricks, but he is found out. After Barry defeats him and has him arrested, Thawne promises to rehabilitate himself. To that end, undergoing therapy and becoming a professor, he eventually becomes a curator of the Flash Museum, seeking to show Barry how much he's changed and become his partner. Thawne travels to the past, however, he is enraged after witnessing Barry give Wally West a talk on how every second is a gift. This is very similar to the same speech that Barry gave to Thawne, because, we can't ever repeat ourselves and give people similar motivational talks. Still seeking to spend time with the Flash and be his friend, Thawne becomes the Reverse Flash, vowing to make Barry's life a living hell until he learns to make time for him. What a selfish person. The Button, in the 2017 crossover, Thawne's memories of pre-New 52 are restored, and a mysterious wave of energy strikes, and he recalls being killed by Batman in Flashpoint. And seeking to teach the Dark Knight's son a lesson, Thawne attacks Bruce Wayne in the Batcave. He destroys Thomas Ledger, which sucked. Thawne brutally beats and verbally taunts Bruce before picking up the comedian's smiley face pin, which teleports him away to an unknown location. Thawne is then teleported back to the Batcave, having been bathed in radiation by a mysterious entity. As he collapses, Thawne says, "God, I saw God." After discovering traces of his energy signature on Thawne's corpse, Barry ponders if he kills the Reverse Flash at some point in the future, but slash Thawne's past. Whew. So, let's see. As the story goes, Barry reveals himself to Iris. We have the Flashpoint timeline cross. And then later, a lot of the story gets pulled in, and Williams does an amazing job in the book. But in the conclusion of Williams' run on the book, Thawne reveals that he was responsible not only for the creation of Barry's other major speedster enemies, such as Zoom and Godspeed, but reveals that he was present at every moment where Barry essentially isolated himself from his allies, such as keeping the investigation into the button secret, provoking fights between Barry and Wally, whispering at hyperspeed to implant subconscious suggestions in their mind. Barry and Thawne's final race, confronted with Thawne's taunts about how their history, which each other had defined them for so long, Barry chooses to forgive Thawne rather than kill him and allow him to escape, tricking Thawne into attacking him as he was vibrating just at the right frequency to infect Thawne with a sample of his own Speed Force energy. This transference grounded Thawne back into reality, erasing his personal experiences of his life as Reverse Flash, leaving him as a tour guide in the Flash Museum of his own home era, unaware of anything of his villainous past. That is a lot. And I skipped over a lot because that's comics, you know. But that moment in Williamson's run where Barry faces Thawne and basically forgives Thawne is amazingly impactful. If you're wanting to get into any Flash reading, start at Rebirth. I mean, you can do a great back-to-back, if you want to read Barry, should I say. You can do Jeff Johns' Rebirth and then Flashpoint. Then you can do the New 52 into Rebirth, or just jump in at Rebirth, and it's a great, great read. So that's Thawne in a nutshell. As I noted, I'm not using the Professor Zoom moniker. In live action, Eobard is heavily present in the Arrowverse, both appearing in Legends of Tomorrow and in The Flash proper, with both actors appearing as the character. The Reverse Flash was handled so well in the show, and so was Zoom. All other evil speedsters is a... No, I won't even say it's a debate. They sucked. Every other speedster other than those two on the TV show was handled poorly. I'm looking at you, Savitar. I'm looking at you, Red Death. I'm looking at you, every other speedster. But now, let's just touch on Hunter Zolomon.
Look up in the sky.
We just want to say, if you've enjoyed this podcast, please check out other podcasts on the Press Play Podcast Network.
We're going to press pause and hear a few words from our other podcasts on Press Play Podcast Network.
Hello, Brooks here with the Books with Brooks monthly book club podcast. Here's how Books with Brooks works. We read one book a month, and then we talk about it. Classics like Stephen King's The Shining, debut novels like We Are the Brennans by Tracy Lang, and tons of other compelling, life-changing stories, one book and 1 month at a time. So come read along with us, and then listen in.
If you are like Tyler and James and can't get enough super talk, check out these other podcasts. Digging for Kryptonite, Supergirl Radio, The Last Sons of Krypton, The Superboy Legacy Podcast, All-Star Superfans, Superman the Animated Podcast, The Aspiring Kryptonians, Always Hold On to Smallville, The Geek of Steel, and Truth, Justice, and Hope.
Remember to check out Krypton Report on all social media platforms. Go to linktree.com/Krypton Report. You find all of our reports.
This is Dan Jurgens, and if you want to have a good time, keep listening to the Krypton Report.
And I'm back. We're talking evil speedsters, that's right. And we're talking now Hunter Zolomon Zoom. Now, I will say that the way that I loved that the Flash TV series, the way they straight up just said Zoom. They gave him his own costume identity. They made him scary, and when he was created, you know, Thawne wasn't there, and he filled the reverse role. But that dark black / gray blue on the TV series with that mask that just Tony Todd's voice made Zoom such a scary character. His own speedster. He had the blue lightning. He had like almost like claw looking hands. It was awesome. Awesome. But let's talk about comics Zoom. Hunter Zolomon. Created by none other than, guess who? Jeff Johns. And Scott Collins, Hunter Zolomon made his debut in The Flash Secret Files and Ordinance No. 3 in November of 2001. He first appeared as Zoom in The Flash Volume 2, number 197, in June of 2003. Hunter Zolomon had a troubled relationship with his parents who rarely spoke to each other or to him. On the day Hunter was to leave for college, his father was revealed to be a serial killer who had murdered 6 young girls and his mother before being gunned down by the police after refusing to surrender. Following this incident, Hunter became obsessed with understanding the criminal mind and went on to study criminology and psychology at college. He later joined the Federal Bureau of Investigation with his girlfriend Ashley, whom he soon married. The two specialized in apprehending low-level costume criminals until Hunter inadvertently caused the death of Ashley's father. Hunter had mistakenly believed that a criminal they were after, the clown, was incapable of using a gun. The case also left him with a damaged knee, forcing him to use a cane to walk. Abandoned by Ashley and fired by the FBI, Hunter moved to Keystone City and became a profiler in the police department of metahuman hostilities. Hunter soon befriended the Flash, Wally West, and his insight was critical in solving a number of cases, though Hunter resented being stuck behind a desk. Hunter was severely injured during an attack by Gorilla Grodd at Iron Heights Penitentiary and was left paralyzed from the waist down. He begged Wally West to use the time-traveling cosmic treadmill in the Flash Museum to prevent the series of tragedies in his life from occurring, but Wally refused, not wanting to risk damaging the time stream. Yeah, he's not Barry. Willy-nilly with time? Wally knows what's up. And thus shattering their friendship. Hunter then broke into the museum and attempted to use the cosmic treadmill himself. Not really sure how that works. The resulting explosion cured Hunter's paralysis and shifted his connection to time. He now had the ability to alter his personal time frame, granting what presumed to look like super speed. Hunter came to the conclusion that Wally's refusal to help was because of never suffering a personal tragedy, unlike Barry Allen. Hunter became the supervillain Zoom to bring tragedy to Wally's life, believing that his way was the only way to make the Flash a better hero, which later is kind of what they say Thawne did to Barry. During an attempt to kill his pregnant wife Linda Park, Zoom created an electrical shockwave that caused Linda to miscarry their twins instead. Wally then forced Zoom into a temporal anomaly. Hunter was rendered comatose and forced to relive his father-in-law's death repeatedly. Zolomon's estranged wife Ashley replaced him as a profiler in the police department and attempted to communicate with him. When Ashley was hospitalized after a car accident, Zoom awakened from his coma out of concern. Hunter makes a cameo in the Flashpoint Rebirth when he approaches the resurrected and imprisoned Thawne at Iron Heights, stating they can help each other be better. Whew. In the DC Rebirth relaunch, when Iris West seemingly kills Eobard Thawne in the 25th century, a cloaked figure sends the Renegades back in time to arrest Iris. The hooded man is then revealed to be Zolomon, proclaiming that the only way to make the Flash better heroes is to pit them in a war, where he'll experience tragedy. Zolomon muses that he sees Wally as the true Flash, reflecting that Barry's ability to accept death is the crucial difference between Barry and Wally, as the Flash, feeling that Wally goes into situations determined to survive, and that's the difference, is that he planned to provoke them to the Flash War. The biggest thing is later revealed that Thawne brought Zolomon into the 25th century as part of Zolomon's prior suggestion of Flash Rebirth, that they could help each other be better, the two manipulating the Renegades and agreeing on the need for the Flash to take a different approach. But they soon part ways because Thawne felt that in the end, Zolomon still had faith the Flashes could be what he imagined them to be, whereas Thawne had given up the idea. After Thawne's death, Zolomon finally concedes to Thawne's idea, returning his appearance as Zoom and proclaiming that he will provoke the Flashes to war. One of the biggest outcomes of this whole thing is to find out that Barry shows Hunter a memory fragment in the Forever Force, explaining that he investigated Hunter's case on Ashley's father, discovering that Thawne had planted the gun and was part of the murder and was the one that shot from the clown Thus, Thawne created Hunter Zolomon, Zoom, as well. And he expresses a wish that things could have been different, but then remarks that saving the day is what Flashes do. And after telling Barry to tell Wally that he wishes the two could have remained friends, his plan works, and the Black Flash is also banished with the Speed Force in the Forever Speed Force with Hunter. Zolomon should be just Zoom in the comics. He should be given his own suit and really helped make into his own character and step away from just being basically a Reverse Flash. And I appreciate the TV series for doing that. And like I said, that is a quick overview of the two Speedsters. I hope you've enjoyed this discussion. I look forward to see what they do with the Dark Flash. And I really hope that the Dark Flash, whoever it is, it's not Barry 2, is what I call him. Bat Barry, Bat Flash, Young Barry, whatever. Because what we do know from the film is that Henry Allen is in prison for murdering Nora, which means that there has to be a Thawne. And if you try to make like an alternate Barry evil, it doesn't work. There needs to be the Thawne characters we've talked about today. So that's today's episode of Flash Week. Enjoy. And remember,